What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night news roundup, where I can't quite believe that I'm talking about a story that is linking Liverpool with a potential move for another Newcastle target, Johan Wissa. I'll take you through what's been said, who said it, and ask, do we believe it? Because I've got to say, I'm a little bit sceptical. We're also going to speak about Harvey Elliott this evening. We're going to speak about Alexander Isak. We're going to talk about Newcastle's pursuit of a striker. And of course, a few other interesting bits and pieces that we hope will keep you up to date. Even if you joined us on tonight's late night agenda, there's always late developments. So certainly worth your while watching for the next few minutes. Before we get cracking with the stories, let's have a little look at the net Spendo Meter, which of course isn't a precise scientific thing, but it is our best guess at roughly where we're at this summer. And as you can see, including the money Liverpool will recoup for Darwin Núñez and his sale to Al Hilal, the Reds currently have a net spend of roughly £104 million this summer. Now, of course, Will Wright's fee and a few other things aren't included in that, but that's roughly where we're at. If Harvey Elliott's move, which I'll speak about now in a second, comes to fruition, that could get down to about 60 million. Now, of course, signing Isak, a centre-back, and potentially another forward, that would see that figure rise steadily. So, Transfers.com said Spurs are making significant progress in the signing of Harvey Elliott. They go on to say that Elliott is keen on the move after holding conversations with Thomas Frank, and Spurs would be willing to meet Liverpool's £40 million asking price with a buyback option. Now, I was always a little bit dubious as to whether RB Leipzig would pay the money Liverpool would be looking for. I would have thought, yes, they would probably be more amenable to a buyback option being included, but for Elliott, it would be a better move for Spurs, in my opinion. Nice shiny new stadium for them down there. Champions League football, new manager, and obviously with James Maddison having that ACL injury, along with Levi Colwill for Chelsea actually as well, wishing them both a speedy recovery. I think it would be a good move for Elliott if he chooses Spurs. Now, Fabrizio Romano has said Liverpool are more than ready to bid for Alexander Isak, and Isak is more than ready to join Liverpool. The club are just waiting for Newcastle to open the door. And of course, that will involve them having to bring in a replacement. Now, Strand Larsen is a name on their list that's come up tonight. We've spoken about the fact that Nicholas Jackson is pretty high up on their list. Gonzalo Ramos, Johan Wissa, and a few others. So Newcastle will move on to other targets, having lost out on Sesko. And for what it's worth, I really feel at this point Liverpool will get Isak before the window shuts. Now, Dave O.C. Kopp has said Bradley Barcola is seen as a preferred option to Rodrigo if Liverpool were to move for either. Isak remains the number one attacking target, but Liverpool are keen to understand if Barcola would be open to a move. If so, the Reds would push hard. Now, Julian Laurens has basically said that 1, Barcola doesn't want to leave PSG, and 2, PSG don't want to sell Barcola. So all of this feels like a moot point at this situation, and I'm kind of relieved because I'm not that keen on the idea of Barcola. You know, we have young Rio, who of course isn't as far along in his development, but is an undoubted talent, and I'd rather just stay with that and bring in Isak or a different forward. Isak and the likes of Malik Fofana, I could get right behind that as well. Now, the crazy story of the night comes from Empire of the Cop, who say Liverpool are considering a move for Brentford's Johan Wissa if they fail in their bid to sign Newcastle striker Alexander Isak. Really? Come on now. I don't believe this for a few reasons. 1, the age profile. I don't think Liverpool would spend 40 or 50 million pound. You'd be better off looking for an Ollie Watkins or somebody. Now, I know Vissa's a year or two younger than Watkins, but I don't believe this. This has to be a wind-up or, I don't know, bait or something like that. Let me know in the comments what you think, but I really struggle to think that Liverpool would look at Johan Wissa as an option. Gonzalo Ramos at PSG will be a far better option for Liverpool, so I'm not having it, but I do want to know what you guys think about it. So, Sashi Cavalieri has said something that is another astounding piece of information. Darwin Núñez is expected to earn more money than Mohamed Salah when he joins Al Hilal. His contract is worth up to €21 million per year, and of course would be tax-free as well, we believe, over in Saudi. So seems like maybe he didn't get the move to Europe that he wanted, but at least financially, Darwin Núñez is going to be very well compensated when that move happens. Chelsea will deal at £60 million with Newcastle for the sale of Nicholas Jackson, said Craig Houlden of the Mail. There is a relationship between Newcastle and Chelsea via the Saudi connections, informal talks have taken place over the striker's availability and option. So I get it from Newcastle fans' perspective. It must be a nightmare summer for them, seeing list after list of names that just keep coming and going. And Nicholas Jackson isn't the sexiest of all the names that they've been linked with, but I do want to know if there's any Newcastle fans watching where your heads are at this point, because obviously Isak wants out. Whether Liverpool are involved or not, he feels like there's been broken promises and he wants out of the club. Obviously Newcastle fans wouldn't be happy with this, I fully understand that. But how do you feel about some of the replacement options that have been linked recently? Nicholas Jackson being one, Gonzalo Ramos being another, Johan Visa. Would this help make up for it, or do you still think going into a Champions League season you were hoping for a higher calibre signing? Because I'll be honest, as a neutral in this, I thought Newcastle would be able to get a higher calibre of signings than the limited amount they've done this summer. Now, James Pearce has said something that got me thinking. He said Leeds United have joined the list of clubs to show an interest in Liverpool winger Ben Doak. Liverpool would want around £20 million. If they don't receive an offer in that range, they're happy to retain him as a squad option. Now, somebody in the chat tonight said that he has 1 year to go in his contract. So if that's true, and I haven't had a chance to check just yet, I don't think Liverpool could keep him around without giving him a new deal. It would be just throwing more money away. But I do like the idea of Ben Doak staying this season, particularly because right now, even if we brought in Isak, that's 5 forwards for 6 positions. We need another one. Doak's at the club, had a good game against Bilbao, always had a bright spark in him, and I'd like to see him given an opportunity this season to even train, learn off and get some minutes if Mohamed Salah's off of the AFCON, or even just maybe in a League Cup game or FA Cup game where Arna wants to rotate a little bit. So for me, if we bring in 2 forwards, great. But if it's only Isak, I'd make the argument to keeping Ben Doak around would be sensible. So let me know what you guys think about this one. I really just don't believe these Bradley Barcola links for 2 reasons. One, seems to be quite clear from the French side that they don't want the money, no interest in selling, and the player doesn't want to leave. And from my side as a Liverpool fan, I'd rather Rodrigo personally than Barcola, but maybe you disagree. If so, let me know in the comments. So that is it for where we're at tonight. But mainly I want to find out, do you believe that story about Visa? Because for me, it feels a little bit like bait. I'm not going to lie. And maybe Newcastle fans would bite on it and get clicks. I don't know. It just doesn't feel realistic to me that it's the type of signing Liverpool would make. We do need to get a centre-back sorted out. And as I mentioned earlier on, Newcastle are looking towards Malik Thiaw of AC Milan. So they've given us a bit of a free run at Mark Gay of Crystal Palace. Don't think Chelsea are going to move in to sign a replacement for Levi Colwill or to move for Mark Gay, even with that ACL injury for Colwill, but I do wish him a speedy recovery. They, of course, brought in Jarell Haddo, so maybe his development will be kick-started a little bit and he'll get minutes earlier. So that's it for tonight, ladies and gents, but we will be back tomorrow, normal time, video about 4:30, stream at 8:45, and then, of course, the late night news roundup. Have yourselves a wonderful night. Thank you for watching. Much love. Bye-bye.